has to leave the speakers to speech.
This is the next session in the middleware track. This is session 2D.
So we will start now with specialized network topologies for efficient communication in computer clusters. Urban Moxnik, who has a PhD in information science and now is working on a chemistry department. Thanks. We will start now with specialized network topologies for efficient communication in computer clusters. Urban Moxnik, who has a PhD in information science and now is working on a chemistry department. Thanks.
This session is scheduled to end at 12:30. Lunch will be served right after that. There is no need for everyone to run over to lunch because they will be continuously serving lunch until 2 p.m. So if we have the opportunity, we might have some discussion after the last speaker. So we can take
specialized network topologies. I'm focusing on one network topology which we have developed for one particular clusters, the National Institute of Chemistry in Sweden. My two co-authors are Doctors Ivan Orderschuk and Bishop
Norris. So if we have the opportunity,
Mr. Malay has a master's.
I'm here. Lynn has extensive experience as technical manager in the UK academic and publishing community. She's currently the Athens manager for EduServ, a not-for-profit organization based in Bath. And she's going to tell us about Athens and
Is it up and running? Yeah. First of all, welcome to everybody to this session, which is about special session. And it is also
technical management
their research studies
first developed
as you have seen from the
clusters are very effective. The effective
Thank you, brother.
for such applications, reliable alternative.
Many years ago, we were all born, and you remember that the first 5 years of our lives was a fascinating period in terms of knowledge transfer, because it was open. You could get all the information and knowledge you wanted both ways. It was a fascinating period. Unfortunately, as Bernard Shaw says, at a very young age, I had to interrupt my education to go to school. The first 5 years, and for the next 20 years or so, we were in a totally different ballpark. Because it was in a knowledge transfer situation where get all the information. There was the teacher and you. A knowledge transfer to your colleague, friends. Unfortunately, after 20 years of this brainwashing, we came out of the schools, and I will show you my first chart. Like we were in a totally different ballpark. We were in a knowledge transfer situation where the most important something there was the teacher and you. With the knowledge transfer to colleague friends. And then after these 20 years, we all started to work. Most of us started to work. We came out of the school, and when today you get in a new organization, you have your new boss, or the guy in charge of the my friend, you have joined. This is a fantastic organization. And then after the specific thing of our organization, we share knowledge. We work in
understand the process by which trainers and projects.
Because it means for the last 20 years in a new organization, you've learned something.
My floppy collar's not doing too well.
Discussion, relatively free and informal.
So Athens is about access management for web resources.
Fortunately, very rapidly realized that it's one big lie. Because
autumn where
if you want to have the company
these
car
are the projects we're proposing.
and the perks,
This is the
colleagues, there's one thing you need to know. You have knowledge.
thing I want to make
What will bring you up the ladder of your organization.
In the academic
So you're back in familiar terrain and you say, hey, this I know how to handle very rapidly. I'm telling you this because
understand the
I
project.
want to illustrate that if you transferring knowledge is not exactly something the first you are trained to do. It's not exactly the same one thing. The environment we're living in.
It's important for teenagers what kind of education.
Give us the information. So you're back. I want to tell you a story. Many years ago, as Frederick said, I was in charge of the education, management development of senior executives in Mumbai. And one of the things we did was to bring the 150 or so senior executives of that group together in one spot to try to have these guys learning to know each other. And I remember it was in June.
and there are also things like mental
We were in Sample Devant and the other
and Dev is now
education, mental development.
that actually allows a university
We were in Sample
library
Devant and
to
it was June and we were overlooking village
some sort of discovery
sipping a glass of
to
wine
the
to try.
appropriate copy of an article.
So
So there's a lot of linking systems
I
at
remember
play.
it was in June. One was in charge of
And normally for this kind of material, IP authentication,
6,000 people, 1,000 car stations. The other guy was in charge of plans in Larabalista. We were in Central Republic.
undergraduate
Same stuff. These guys were talking, we were talking obviously
IP
about
authentication is easy to set up for the resource provider.
all of a sudden, these guys realized at the same time
And it doesn't change very often.
they were engaged in a process
Firewall
of building a
addresses,
one in charge of
and normally for this for the NHS
without knowing it.
the entire National Health
The other
Service.
guy was in charge of plans in Larabalista. We were in same stuff.
Define the organisation.
These guys were talking.
So that's easy. But downside of
All of a
IT,
sudden, a guy.
there's all the to know only too much how
Now, the reason why I'm telling you the second story is combined with the first one. Actually, my next slide, which is there is this knowledge paradox, knowledge management paradox. On one hand, we know that's knowledge.
but also people want to work from home.
Intellectually, that's
More and more people work
sharing knowledge.
countless
So the reason why I'm telling you the second story
from their
combined with the first one.
But the biggest thing that I think
Well,
is personalisation. A lot of these resource discovery services,
there is this. I have another question.
you want to search and see what new materials come up in your area.
How big do you think the probability that
You want to be alerted about new materials that you want to build.
out of the 28 plus 24 members that Karina had, I looked it up on the web, that 12 are engaged in a similar project.
Now, the approach then is to bind national
Second question, how high is the probability
slide and to
that one of these
deploy,
entities is engaged
I
in a
wouldn't go as far as
project?
to say industrial quality software today, much more robust software upon the infrastructure
Someone else has done something.
possible the prototype route built in the last. So if I leave one message from this, it should be this.
And this is why I thought
The analogy you should take away is the following. Just as Jail binds the national network infrastructure that was built as a national
big companies
bind
have started
robust way, then EG, that's the line, the prototype, then EGEE will bind system. Now, I should leave one message from this because it's a presupposition that the analogy has infrastructure, just as binding
So Athens is attractive.
binding them is not then quite the same as building real
They no longer
it's the software support operations EG software goes with. That's the best method. E, nothing to do with binding. The consortium is shown there. You can see that it's made up of individual large countries, consortia, regional consortia.
computers,
covers
furniture, everything that's tangible.
So this is the schematic diagram.
most raw data. It was submitted to the network development grids LP6 board.
On the other hand,
And for those that know the framework, you put in 3 activities. You use a project called 3 activities. This is known as an I3, but it's very similar to an I3 for those who use it. So the 3 activities, networking, meaning people. Most the specific service activities and joint research. And just to briefly run through what we are. Now, the networking activities are those that you might imagine: management, coordination, training, support, dissemination, but importantly, an interface to. So the 3 type pilot applications that are going to be able to use this. Of course, it's going to be useful to read. Specific service activities. Whoops.
It's called
Just briefly, very short. In the transfer. Now, the networking activities slides are called management coordination. That was somebody who's talk dissemination. But importantly, so between there were 2, 3 more slides. Under the specific service activities, it's very difficult to interpret quite what these terms mean. It's a new ground for all of this. But there are the network activities in operations centres. So one or 2 major operations centres plus regional sites. Under the software re-engineering, it's very difficult. The sort of middleware that has been deployed on prototypes so far is flavour replacement. So a very important function is to procure and re-engineer where necessary, but not develop operational sake production.
I look further.
There are activities in
They are selling
the network, specifically activities in resource allocation and network access to network resources such as bandwidth on demand, not quality of service, as well as performance. I think that's about all I can remember from my slides. There are activities. So I'll just come to the finish then. So we built a production grid for Europe. It's a bi-national grid. You're meant to take this little picture away. Resource allocation will require staggered proposals, I might say. The first tranche has gone into access to 50 million allocated, which EG, if approved, would see a fraction. And so, although the first was made sick, there will be follow-up submissions. So we built a production grid bi-national.
grab the steering
Very big push it. Quite staggered proposals, let's say. The first tranche is going into access to 50 million, but this
So first of all,
Just tell us what
years later,
Okay. It's not really a project. I think it started as a project. Sure, it's
knowledge
we changed our opinion a little bit because of the moving framework. But at least I'll try to explain it in the next slide. I think the background of the slides for a lot of people know.
close your eyes.
No, that's really my background. But
So what happened?
that picture is, there are a lot of individual key chains. Our opinion will get a nice play out of it.
You know,
People at least can do the same. The background of the slide.
another thing
A lot of people
is
know something about
that where is well,
that's my background. Technical network.
but it can be somewhere else.
The picture is, there are a lot
Carnet
of
has, for instance, one of the things that they have done. They have a very good process of training the trainers.
new services.
So this process contains a lot of things. How do you do it? So knowledge. Somewhere
So first of all, I'll say something about what we did in the past.
project-driven
White paper and then the declaration points.
Major communities.
They have a very good piece of software.
We started in 2001 and mainly because
This piece of software is a product.
talking about algorithms in the green environment.
And lastly,
Then some company provided us with, or at least they said that they could provide pan-European American social network contact that you have to this market. Mainly took that opportunity, of course, and around that we made a
Just to
project
summarize,
plan.
where is
And
not
the
a
major activity in the project plan, I think, was that some company service provided us these users
and it is a product. The last thing I want to tell you is knowledge. Everybody has seen the progress last night.
provide
We have seen cathedrals like this.
Of course, in 2002 there was a downturn.
And the guys who built these cathedrals, I'm sorry ladies, at that time were no girls. They were called cathedral
So
builders.
we changed our idea a little bit. We said, okay, let's express an interest with 6 framework. I think the idea is
They were great first. Now, how did they learn their trade? Well, when they were very young, and the guys, they went to another cathedral. They carried sandwiches or hammer. So, and they grew with them, and they absorbed all the knowledge. Say about and when they were like 17 or something, they were called companions at that time.
Single domain.
Now, how did they learn when they traveled all over Europe? They were looking for other and eventually
A little bit later, this year, we decided to do a project.
I have a question.
we learned it right.
Which are the physical distances which such kind of local topologies can really be useful? Which is the size over which you can't extend this physical acute topology?
We saw there were a little bit later available projects on this side. So that's quite big.
Give it away. We learned what I'm telling you now. You will
I don't know ideas. Probably
combine it with your own knowledge of the subject.
Really be useful. Which is the size over which you can't extend.
information or issues we saw there were in the process.
So, let's go back to the company. What do these companies do in order to manage that knowledge? Give it away. If you want to know more about it,
A little bit related to the idea of end user.
conducted by American
I know it's a whole world of information or issues or resources all there were.
So, let's go back to the company. Now, in 1996, in order to conduct a benchmark study, if you want to know more about the same thing, and they found about 20 companies that were organizing not information in the organization, but were
Software was
what I
also
want to
about
show you quickly
capacity,
is that
10 gigabits gigabit Ethernet,
although every one of these companies
common and so on.
Using AMD processor instead
Because
of
of
Intel.
that commonality, I think it's important that we don't step on its faces. Trying the roads with the fact
but they all have a common
I assume that the capacity of the software was also about capacity, 10 gigabits
although identification
prepare at least the vendors.
Looks like why Ethernet instead of ATM.
They'll want to know what is the knowledge that you have.
Just use the gigabit switch, but
Where and how can you transfer it? Because if you transfer it, you don't use it.
Pure optical technique.
If I'm a shepherd and I live in
Our next speaker is Andrew McCormack, which is a senior expert in security, working in UKANA, the UK research network.
the second thing, all these companies are present in innovation, creation of
So it's really so interesting issue.
Because of that bandwidth on demand,
Usually something to put that onto that won't fall away.
Our next speaker is Andrew McCormack, which is a senior expert in security, working in UKANA, the UK.
I think the title of this conference is very interesting. User opportunities stroke network challenges, which suggests that there are, if not something to put that onto separate pressures going on, at least counter pressures. What I'd like to do for the next is put you in the position of the people who very often work better. The tight balance between demands of users and demands of developers, which is the network manager. Nowadays, every network has a manager. What I'd like to start is, I remember a wonderful 2.4 kilobit network connection between two universities in the UK. And it was great. And a 2.4 kilobit network is because there's so little. Nowadays, you can only actually use it for every network. So there's no management involved. What I'd like us to do is the network today is nothing else happening. However, as networks get faster and faster, people start using them for other things. Nowadays, everything think about my background in university.
if you don't measure what you think,
People don't think of as critical organizations. But for most universities, networks are now pretty manageable. They're using them for teaching. We have a number of universities that use not only the national backbone for however networks get from one to the other.
So, these are the things that are important in our opinion. Other projects or that projects should do in the future.
That network is pretty critical.
lastly,
we are certainly
Aston itself, we're not projects anymore, we are not a competitor for other projects or think tanks or financial research things. So I think that these are the things actually that it's so important now to more projects competitive because diversity
I did suggest that I was touched by
few projects. Aston itself
that he did not
what company
£500,000 So these applications, the network is critical. Network is critical in these three ways. It's time critical. For some applications, the network
must include, of course,
at 10 o'clock.
if there are multiple projects, in some way we interoperability between the
amount of
end-to-end environment,
and they are reliable.
environment,
I have a strong
interworking at layer 1, layer 2. And I think you read more at least at the other layers.
and I all of a sudden realized
Will interwork or that within projects.
As far as I know, we haven't yet dug up our own handle project, but I think it's only a matter of time. So, but it's still,
Connectivity, now
we know we're 10 gigabit, sorry, it's finite.
10 gigabit link.
So somebody needs to say when there is competition between these two, that is a higher priority, that is more important than that. And so
I also would like to see that the project allow not only direct connectivity, love that they are calling it,
But it is the network manager.
And if that is what it is,
Decision of the organisation.
direct connection to doing things.
She thinks exam days
Not always the bandwidth which is important.
another month.
they have
I also would like to see that it's
But somebody in the organisation has to say, this is important.
But
Our
Terina
major lecture
has
happens.
to incorporate
That
applications.
matters to
What do you mean? Without
It helps the network manager. That's what happens. That doesn't happen in many organisations.
So what we did is write
my next question?
write paper on the web with a URL with principle, send it out
To be there when you want.
It's fabulous.
will take over the
Management to make a decision.
Just count it.
This traffic is from today. And that is hard because network
there's
management,
information where you can get more.
video conferencing is important.
So what we did, that's it, write it on
Still, I believe
They say, I'm going from this server to that server, that
will take over.
It doesn't say, I am the vital video conference, I am the email. Because, so somehow the network manager has to translate a piece of paper here, because this is important, into this packet or that packet. And the only way to do that, they say, is therefore a series of assumptions. And protocol can design to make those assumptions on the vital video or they can make their own assumptions to make it. What managers want is that services are identified. A service in terms that uses the can actually be recognized this packet transfer.
Well, I was just trying to lose a few seconds while it's down.
They need to be controlled.
No, I was just introducing that we have two different projects here. One is just robot. But we can switch speaker.
But I really shouldn't be running video conferences.
Garden.
Well,
In this case,
So I need to be able to say, this is allowed.
I would.
I'm conscious of that. I need to say it's
I was
not
just
allowed.
trying to lose a few seconds.
Tell me it should not be allowed.
No, I was just introducing Garden.
Maybe find somewhere else. Maybe find
First thing to do, you are knowledge.
I want to be able to say things like that. The assumptions you can make are, no, sorry, good. I don't have
Second thing is, what are the mechanisms that I would?
Protocols should be non-hazardous. In terms of RFC, the fact that I choose to use a service must not increase the hazard.
There's one measurement tool
Not very interesting.
Terina only exists.
Athens is
And my use of the service should not.
They pay. Second thing is,
I'm using it and I'm expecting to.
The name is 2C-garden.ptt. I upload which service.
Increase the
end of this
failing those two.
asking us how happy we are.
The assumptions you can make, but well, there are some that are sort of reasonable. If I see something going port 80, it's probably web. And it would be nice if
You showed us quite a long list of external third-party resources. How are you going to integrate them? Because if you want to use Shibboleth, they all have to do something on their own.
and I would try and assume that the source
Well, do not
You showed us quite a long list of external third-party resources. How are you going to integrate them? Because but then it's a UK-specific solution, and if others are going to adopt Shibboleth, then you might as well think about using Shibboleth natively for your purposes as well.
You showed us long list of
controlling access.
what's the number?
The principles between
Identities is a UK specific solution. Basically, you say it's easier to do it that way. And but if other people are doing the Shibboleth thing as well, it might change a little bit because with Athens you cover the UK. If Shibboleth maybe more.
we spotted horrible moments
Okay, so it's size like that. It's very important. Then basically you say it's very rich to do it that way. Other people are doing the right thing as well. Because when you come here, you can might change the way you take it after you cover the UK. Shibboleth might are there any it's in the mind of
everybody knows.
okay, size like you want to invest.
But in some cases, so I picked 3 protocols to look at how well
You were talking about you have the user side of the system, but you also have the admin interface and you have authorization information. Are you looking at describing that in a...
I will say
What's the description of the attributes there? Because you don't use the attributes for the user, but obviously they come from somewhere and they must have some kind of format. And are they similar to what you see with Shibboleth, and then you have the user side? You also have the admin interface and you have authorization information. Are you looking at describing that in a...
Today we are pretty happy.
What's the description of the attributes there? Because you don't use the attributes for the user, but obviously they come from somewhere and they must have some kind of format. And are they similar to what you see with Shibboleth, and then you have the user side?
It seems a bit unfair to ask you questions in the UK, but nevertheless. In your devolved access, it's up to trust the institution to send you back a persistent identifier, isn't it? Because they can send back any number they choose, and you have no way of checking that. That is correct.
Website management, traffic management, dynamic
seems a bit unfair to ask you questions in the UK, but nevertheless. In your devolved access, it's up to trust the institution
About the way in which
send back any number they choose, and you have no way of checking that.
data connection coming back.
in an institution-based solution approach, or somehow like I'm thinking of in our systems. Do you expect some kind of national or central clearinghouse to connect your Athens to the existing AA system, or do you plan to make it an institution-based? So Papi, for example, I mean, if we are going to connect Spanish infrastructure using Papi with Athens, some kind of national but you would prefer rather a central Papi system dealing with all the authenticators in Spain, or one institution-based solution? So Papi, for example, I mean, we are going to connect Spanish infrastructure using Papi with Athens.
The FTP side then
then we want to make use of
would prefer rather central Papi
server end
dealing with all the
client and network management
including one institution
to allow inbound connection
Peter Altman is the assistant. And
solve that.
when there is accounting for
electronic authentication as an
By saying no,
He is also the senior